والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. احنا إن شاء الله نكمل يعني في حاجة مفروض يعني المسلمين يكونوا دائما يعني بتكون في جدولهم اليومي أو الأسبوعي يعني اللي هو تدارس القرآن، يعني زي البايبل ستادي، يعني بيكون في تدارس القرآن. نحن ما بنفعل هيك، ولما نعمل when we do it the wrong way. We do it the wrong way لأنه we take the book and we start reading Quran or even reading tafsir very superficially, and we don't reflect and we don't ask the question, okay, what does it mean for us now? How can we leverage this verse? What are all the dimension of the verses? يعني subhanallah, yani, our relationship with the Quran was damaged big time, and damaged in two ways. First of all, of course, people who abandon the Quran completely, they remember it only once in a while, every now and then those who don't abandon, but they have good or solid relationship, but not the right way, focusing on reading, focusing on memorizing, maybe tajweed, learning how to read the Quran, and all of this is good, but that's not what Quran is for. It is for reflection and study. It's a book of guidance. It's a book of guidance. It's not a book of thawab or ajr, that you read it just to see how many pages you read, so that how much you put in your account with Allah. That can happen as naturally, but that's not, shouldn't be the purpose. It's a book of guidance. You read it for guidance. And that's how the companions were to treat the Quran when it was descended, like revealed few verses. They take those few verses, and even though they mastered the Arabic language, they don't need as much effort as we need now to have an in-depth understanding of the Quran. But they had those small circles of studying the Quran, when it is after it is revealed, studying every passage of the Quran after it is revealed. So we need to revive that, and we need to tell our people, those who abandon the Quran, to reconnect, and those who are not doing it right, to do it right, and then to create some dynamic situation in our community where we all of us, individually and collectively, embark on study of the Quran, and then when we meet, we always have something to share and something to learn from one another, because everyone is, it's like, imagine everybody has some sort of garden in your house, and you're planting some fruits and vegetables, etc., and then you always have something to share, and you probably can get something from, it's like a potluck, or get something from others. And unfortunately, we're not doing that, like we're not doing many things, many other things, but it's never too late. We can fix that. We can fix that and fix the Muslim mind and fix the Muslim priorities, and try to put ourselves and our community back on track. طيب وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة. The word Khalifa is a key word. Qissat Adam in general is a foundational verse. By the way, Quran does not repeat things just for like that, repeat for a purpose. The story of Adam and the story of Bani Israel are among the most frequently covered in the Quran, and that's for a reason. And in Surah Al-Baqarah, the one that we're going to cover today, inshallah, they come one after the other. It's Adam and then Bani Israel. And that's, of course, for a reason, for a hikmah, for wisdom. The story of Adam was covered in some detail in Surah Al-Baqarah, in Surah Al-A'raf, in Surah Al-Isra, in Surah Al-Kahf, in Surah Taha, in Surah Al-Hijr. And then it was mentioned briefly in Ali Imran and in Ma'idah. But in those 7 places, I believe it was covered extensively. there is a reason why, because if you want to summarize the whole, life of humanity on Earth, the turning points were, of course, the beginning, and that's Adam, story of Adam. And then the other turning point is the prophethood of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then the day of judgment. Yeah. If you wanna encapsulate it in, that's the beginning, that's the conclusion, that's the turning point, and that's the end game. So emphasizing the story of Adam is very normal, especially as we'll see. There are a number of things that were decided and stated and reinforced in that particular story. Let's start with the Khalifa. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. قال ربك الملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة. This is جزاك الله خير, when your Lord said to the angels, said to the angels, indeed I will make upon the earth a successive authority. We'll come to the response of the Khalifa. Very loaded word. It's one of the words that's like taqwa, and like da'wah, and like so very loaded word. It says the purpose of the creation, the role of Adam, the mission, what we are here to do. All of this was encapsulated in the word Khalifa. Khalifa, it's basically you are an owner of a business and you hire a manager. That's what it is. And the manager is there to put into effect your will, your plan, your vision. You are the owner of the business. You have a vision for your business. You have goals for your business, etc. And then you go and you hire a manager, and you agree with the manager on these goals and on these, and then there is a contract between the two of you. That's exactly what we get from the word Khalifa. That this is earth. It was made. Everything was made for you, Adam, and we will see that Adam alayhi salam was equipped with the tools to fulfill this role. And then this is the business, and then run it, develop it, grow it, and manage it in the most efficient way. That's exactly what happened to bring the idea close. It's the contract between an owner of a business and a manager, someone who's going to hire. Someone was hired to run the business. Khalifa was translated into vicegerent, deputy, steward. All of these are possible translations. And here there is something that unfortunately the vast majority of Muslims are missing. When they forget why they are here, why they were created, and that's when Shaitan can start his job of misleading us becomes easier. أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Mu'minun, وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. In one verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala summarized the two main reasons that causes people to go astray, because this verse was revealed, this verse in Surah Al-Mu'minun was revealed after talking about the people who failed on the Day of Judgment, and then the conclusion came, did you think that we created you in vain, or did you forget that you're going to be brought back to accountability? أَلَمْ أَعْهَدْ إِلَيْكُمْ يَا بَنِي آدَمَ. And how could you fail? Didn't I tell you that you were created to be Khalifa, that you have, and I sent you messengers to remind you of this? And then I told you that you're going to be brought back for accountability, and you forget all of this? It's at the end of Surah Al-Mu'minun, towards the end, just a couple of verses before the end. No, just more after that. So we have to remember that contract. So even before Islam, now we have a contract with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-A'raf, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ قَالُوا بَلَى. يعني there is a contract with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even before the messengers were sent, before Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before all the messengers, which is the contract of creation, that you are created, you are hired. And subhanAllah, we accept that in everyday's life. We accept that. When you are hired, you have job description, you have to honor it. And then when you fail, you accept the consequences. You rent a place, there is a contract. Or you rent a car or whatever, there is a contract. You violate it, you accept the consequences. You are created, it's even bigger contract. It's not even hiring or renting, it's life itself. Yeah. So this is something that we need to remember and emphasize, especially in introducing Islam to people, rather than starting at the stand that you have to pray 5 times and you have to fast, etc. We have to start with this, that we're talking about covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, contract. الذين يوفون بعهد الله ولا ينقضون الميثاق. And on the other hand, الذين ينقضون عهد الله من بعد ميثاقه. Those who violate the contract after they sign it. And subhanAllah, we have the contract that we sign by choice, which is the contract that you decide, you choose to be Muslim or not. That's the contract. But there is a contract that we signed it already. Like our father signed it, so we have to honor it again. Adam alayhi salam signed, and it's a contract of al-istikhlaf. Ahad or aqad al-istikhlaf. And this can be reinforced with the verse in Surah Hud, وَالَّذِي أَنْشَأَكُم مِّنَ الْأَرْضِ وَاسْتَعْمَرَكُم فِيهِ, settled you on earth to develop it. It is the word Khalifa summarizes the mission of Islam. Istikhlaf, that you are a Khalifa or deputy or steward of earth or a deputy of Allah on earth, or you are a manager hired or created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to run the earth. That by itself summarizes the mission of Islam. Before even get to Amr Ma'ruf wa Nahy Anil Munkar and Islah, all of this can be details or explanation, elaboration of, but the title of the contract is Istikhlaf. Of course, we can also put it as the title as Islah, etc., but these, they fit more as provisions of the contract. But the ahad is the ahad of Istikhlaf. Of course, that encapsulates or includes like what comes later, that you have to establish justice on earth, because that's the will of Allah. As a manager, you don't do what you want, you do what the owners want. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants justice to prevail on earth, that becomes your job. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants this humanity to be prosperous and not to be poor, not to suffer, not to be hungry, not to be sick, not to have wars, not to fight, not to kill, not to all of this. That's what Allah wants, and that's your job to implement it and to make it happen here. It's a very simple contract that you are supposed to find out and figure out what is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to happen on earth, what is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects on earth, and execute it. There is something called expectations, divine expectations. There are divine assignments. And so this idea, I think it became very weak among Muslims, because the other idea dominated, the Islam of Sha'air, that Islam is about praying and fasting and about halal and haram and fiqh and bid'ah and aqidah, and which one is the right aqidah and which one is the wrong aqidah, and the hadith and the madahir, the appearances, the beard, you look like a good Muslim, the hijab, etc. Nobody is trying to minimize the importance of anything in Islam, but everything has to be put in the right context. This is the most important thing that people need to learn about Islam before they learn anything else. It's about learning about Allah and about the contract with Allah. Learning about Allah and about the contract that Adam alayhi salam signed on our behalf with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is because of that contract we are on earth now. We are in this life to honor it and to fulfill it. Everything is a contract in this life. Citizenship is a contract. Visa is a contract. When being a citizen, you're signing to honor and abide by the Constitution and by the law, etc. And of course, the bigger contract is every contract is important because every contract, Allah is a witness on it. إن الذين يبايعونك إنما يبايعون الله. So whenever you make a contract with, but Allah is your third, even if it is between two of you. It's a contract with Allah first. That's why we have to really, Muslims have to be at the highest level of honoring our promises and contract, because Islam took that contract to a higher level to make it a contract with Allah. That even though it is between people, but it is essentially with Allah, and therefore, even if you can deceive people, if there is a loophole, you always try to honor the contract to the best of your ability, because it is between you and Allah.
Question.
As towards Khalifas, it tells you about our role, it tells you about our mission, and what is more important. That's the title of the contract. That's the first thing in our job description, or actually the title of our job description. Everything else is going to come as part of that.
Can you hear me?
The story of Adam alayhi salam was mentioned repeatedly in Quran, because, as I said, there are many things that were established in that surah, in that story. And let me tell you this. I don't exaggerate if I say, without a proper and in-depth understanding of the story of Adam, we cannot understand deen and we cannot understand life. I mean, we cannot understand life from Islamic perspective properly, and we cannot understand the deen without full grasp of what happened in that in the story of Adam alayhi salam. And this is the first time it is mentioned, so we're gonna start with the response of the malaika, the angels. قال وتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك. Very natural response from the angels. The books of Tafsir say that it's either because of prior knowledge or because of prior incidents, because there are some people say that there was some life before Adam. I don't want to get into that because that does not help us in any formal shape. Bottom line, the angels, from one way or another, had an idea about that the man on earth, or human, will do a lot of damage and a lot of corruption and sheds blood, and we see it now. Blood has been shed continuously since ever. And then they were surprised that because they are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 24/7 continuously, that's their nature. And then how can this happen? Now, for me, it tells me something here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us. Every word in Quran is a teaching opportunity. Allah is teaching us, subhanallah. Angels are expressing their opinion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who on earth can suppress the freedom of expression or the freedom of conscience, etc.? Angels are expressing their opinion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we know from the seerah, companions used to express their opinion freely with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and object and disagree, and nothing happens to them. قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن we are here. We are at your service and we do everything that you want. And how can you give this job to, they were not complaining, but they were asking questions. يعني. قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. I know what you know not, or what you don't know. This is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that this job of khilafah, istikhlaf on earth, is not for angels. It's not a job that requires you to be worshipping and making dhikr 24/7. That's not enough qualifications. That does not qualify you for this job. And that tells us also something very important, how the worship in Islam is much more comprehensive than many Muslims think. That doing the right thing at the right time, and the bulk of worship is what you do to humanity, seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because direct worship between you and Allah, how much time is going to take? How much time you're going to take to pray? How much time you're going to take to do anything in life, in terms of direct worship. But most of the worship is indirect. What you do in your job, what you do in your charity and volunteerism, educating people, giving advice, developing yourself into a role model, etc. Enjoying, promoting that which is good. That's the bulk of the worship. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling, it's like subhanallah, like two people applying for a job, and and the boss or the hiring manager decided to hire one, and the other saying, I'm more qualified because I'm worshiping, or I think I'm more qualified because I worship day and night. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly, when he say, Inni a'lamu wa la ta'lamun, say, I know that qualification is not enough, or that's not what qualifies someone for this job. This job requires different qualifications. And then immediately the qualifications came. Speaking about qualifications, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. That's the qualification. That's one of the most important qualifications, is the ability for a human being to learn. وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها ثم عرضهم على الملائكة فقال أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين قالوا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. قال يا آدم أنبئهم بأسمائهم فلما أنبأهم بأسمائهم قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم غيب السماوات والأرض وأعلم ما تبدون وما كنتم تكتمون. طيب علم آدم الأسماء كلها. And the best tafsir I'm comfortable with is that this is the ability for a human being to learn without seeing. Allah taught Adam the names, all of them, and he showed them to the angels and said, inform me of the names of these if you are truthful. And then the verses go on. It's a discussion between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam the names. Now, the best tafsir that I said that I'm comfortable with is that Allah gave us the ability to imagine, to learn without seeing. That I can teach you about a car, because when I say a car, there is a picture that comes to your mind. And I can talk to you about it without having to bring it and say, this is what I'm talking about. This is the ability of abstract learning, which probably only human has out of all creations, or has at that degree or at that level, which makes big difference in terms of our capacity to learn. Because imagine that if we were in the situation that in order to learn about something, you have to see it or has to be brought before you, that will cripple the process of learning big time. So علم آدم الأسماء كلها, taught him the names, meaning gave him that ability to envision, that ability to abstract learning, that ability to read or be told about something and can understand it without seeing it. And imagine if we don't have that capacity, that will kill again our ability to learn. And then when he tested the Malaika, they could not do it. They could not do that exercise, which is to talk or to explain or to learn about things that are not in front of them. It's not really very explicit, but from every explanation that I have, of course, a lot of interpretations are very superficial. They don't even bother to try to understand what happened, and they tell you exactly literal meaning. That's exactly what happened. But I think that's the best explanation I find. And then, of course, Malaika, angels, accepted that, yes, you have knowledge that we don't have. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. When they could not do it, they acknowledged that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows things that they don't know. And then it was confirmed when Adam passed the test, and Allah told the angels that didn't I tell you that I know everything in the heavens and in the earth, and I know what you conceal and what you reveal and what you conceal. أعلم ما تبدون وما كنتم تكتمون. Knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran is a book of Tawheed. Quran is a book of Tawheed. So emphasizing the knowledge of Allah, إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. تعلم ما لا تعلمون. I know what you don't know. You are the all-knowing, the all-wise. ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم غيب السماوات والأرض وأعلم. I know everything in heavens and earth. I know what you reveal and what you conceal. Very strong emphasis on the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Quran is a book of Tawheed, meaning that it's reinforcing our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And every name and attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen one aspect of our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Knowledge, I mean, when you remember that, when you're reminded that Allah knows everything, even what you can see from people, even the things that you do when nobody is watching or nobody's around, even your feelings and your thoughts, even your plans and your intention, that's strong, that's powerful, very powerful. That Allah knows ما تبدون وما كنتم تكتمون. That we are very transparent before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very, very transparent. I mean, and it would be silly for people to try to fool and deceive one another, because Allah knows, and that's what matters. And يخادعون الله يخادعون الله الذين آمنوا ما يخدعون إلا أنفسهم. يخادعون الله وهو خادعهم. And it's basically you fool yourself when you try to fool and deceive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's part. And then وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا. So knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about qualifications, that angels, you're not qualified for this job. And then he showed them that one of the qualifications, main qualifications for this job, is the ability to learn. And learning, because to manage this earth, there is so much that you need to know about the rules that Allah has embedded on earth. I mean, all the science. Muslims, when they properly understood Islam, they were at the forefront of scientific research. Why? Because you cannot do this job of istikhlaf on earth, to be the steward, without science. Why? Because science tells you how this world functions. And you were assigned the job to run it. I mean, can you run a company and say you were hired to be a manager of a company? The first thing that you need to know, or the thing that you have to always try to know, is the company and the business. Try to understand it. How does it function? Who is doing what? Who are the... And that's exactly what science is all about. So science and the mission of human on earth and the mission of Islam, they converge. Both of them, they lead to discovering how this universe functions. And when I say universe, I mean the two parts. The physical part, which is gravity and astronomy and medicine and all of this, and then the human, the social part. Sociology, psychology, whatever, all of this. How societies function, politics, etc. Because you are responsible for both. It's the physical universe that you have to leverage, understand those rules and leverage them. That's the only way you can develop and run this earth. And then the social sciences. Social sciences, because without understanding the dynamics of societies, you cannot change it, you cannot reform it. What islah you can do, what reform you can do in a society that you don't understand. I mean, bring someone from another country, place them in the United States, they can do nothing. Even if they have the best of intention to make a difference or to have an impact, they cannot, because they don't understand the system, they don't understand the culture, they don't understand the society. They can do nothing. So really, learning the physical sciences and the social sciences are a condition and requirement for a human to fulfill that job. And the Quran says that's one qualification. That's the main qualification, that the angels, which were very superior to Adam in terms of worship and spirituality, yet they were not qualified because they were missing this piece or this component. وإذ قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس أبى واستكبر وكان من الكافرين. This is the part that was repeated in Quran. It's the story when Iblis came into play. I mean, it's like, imagine this is like a play or مسرحية, and then now Iblis is coming into the play. وإذ قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس أبى واستكبر وكان من الكافرين. If you can read the translation, go ahead. Otherwise, I will try. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the angels to make sujood to Adam, and they did, except Iblis, who were arrogant and rebellion, and refused. Iblis, of course, not an angel, because Quran says كان من الجن ففسق عن أمر ربه. So Iblis is not from the angels, he was with them. And then خلقتني من نار also confirmed that. So كان من الجن ففسق عن أمر ربه. That's in Surah Al-Kahf. In Surah Al-Kahf.
Can you hear me, Dr. Suhail? Hello.
وإذ قلنا الملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس فكان من الجن ففسق عن أمر ربه. So Iblis is not an angel. He was with the angel and rejected. Right. Verse is, and to mention, when we said to the angels, prostrate before Adam, so they prostrated except for Iblis. He refused and was arrogant and became of the disbelievers. Of course, the story of Adam was repeated in several places, but every time there is emphasis on a particular aspect. Because we are treating it for the first time, we need to mention even the things that are not mentioned in the surah, because we are not focusing on the surah as much as we're focusing on the story. إلا إبليس أبى واستكبر وكان من الكافرين. First of all, I mean, in what Iblis has done, and then with Allah, and in what Iblis has done, Shaitan, with Adam, there is tremendous amount of lessons that encapsulates this life and what's going on earth. First of all, Iblis rejected, of course, committed basically what do you call this, source or the mother of all sins, which is to disobey Allah. Say no. Allah tells you to do something and you say no. Today there are many human beings, there are many Muslims. You tell him that Allah said so, and they say no, I have another opinion, or I don't like it, or I'm not convinced, or whatever. So basically, it's not very different. إلا إبليس أبى واستكبر وكان من الكافرين. In another place, he says, أنا خير منه خلقتني من نار خلقته من طين خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. That Iblis said why he doesn't do it, because in other places in the Quran he was asked by Allah. In Surah Al-A'raf, in Surah Al-Hijr, he was asked by why you did not obey, even though I instructed you to do it. And then in another place, why you did not make sujood to something that I created with my own hands. ما منعك أن تسجد لما خلقت بيدي. And then Iblis said a couple of things that subhanallah. One is أنا خير منه. أنا خير منه. This is one. أنا خير منه. 3 words. 3 words summarizes so much harm and injustice that was committed on earth since the beginning of life till the end. And all racism is because أنا خير منه. I'm better than him. All occupation is because I'm better than him. أنا خير منه. Why a country allows itself to go and occupy another country? Is because they believe they are superior, they are better, they are entitled to that resources and that wealth more than the native people. Wars, racism, discrimination, occupation, you name it. And that's the biggest injustice that happened on earth throughout the history of humanity, had in its sources, I'm better than him. There is a race, nationality, the chosen people, whatever. Group of people, they think they are better than others because of who they are, because of their skin color, because of whatever, because of anything, because of their nationality, like Nazism, fascism, whatever, because of anything. They believe they are better than others. And immediately after that comes that others become the Gentiles, others become like ليس علينا في الأمين سبيل. Others, we can do anything to them because these are others and they are lower. يعني. Yes, Abu Abdullah.
Dr. Sir, they try to ask you a question, but you are not hearing us.
Abu Abdullah, are you calling me?
Dr. Suhail.
Abu Abdullah.
Yeah, you cannot hear us. You have problem in your...
I don't hear you.
Yeah, you have problem in the hearing.
Abu Abdullah, we don't hear you. Abu Abdullah.
Yeah, I am talking. You cannot hear, Dr. Suhail.
Okay, I'm going to end.
السلام عليكم. في عندك مشكلة بالهيرنج دكتور. عم بيحاولوا يسألوك أسئلة وأنت ما عم تسمعنا. في عندك مشكلة إذا بتقدر تصلحها.
طيب خير.
جزاك الله خير. Dr. said he tried to fix the problem in his computer. Sorry guys.
Is it okay now?
We are hearing you, Doctor. Are you hearing me? Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you now.
Okay, it's good. Okay, go, Brother Firas.
I had a quick question about the first phrase that the first ayah, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. The idea of istikhlaf, of course, it's very clear, it's very obvious from those ayat. But how can we reconcile that with something that we grew up hearing all our life, which is وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ? I'm sure there is a connection, but can we at least combine those two? Because the second one that I mentioned is very much repeated, and sometimes it's predominant. when discussions about khalq and belief come up?
This is very good questions, and a connection that is badly needed between the two. There is no contradiction, none. The contract of istikhlaf, that you are hired or created to be manager on earth, by honoring that contract, meaning you are dedicating yourself to Allah and dedicating yourself and your life to, and that's the meaning of worship. Worship in Islam is not praying. Is not the sha'air occupy very small part of worship. Worship in Islam means doing what is expected from you in every context. Doing or fulfilling the assignments of Allah, living up to the expectation. And all of these, they are in the istikhlaf, the same. So, I signed the contract to be manager of earth. By honoring that contract, I'm dedicating myself to fulfill the purpose of the owner, and that's the worship. And that's why, if you remember, I like to define Islam that it is فهم وإنفاذ مراد الله ابتغاء مرضات الله. You're pledging and you are committing yourself to dedicate your life to try to figure out, understand, and execute the purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fulfill the purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the meaning of istikhlaf, that's the meaning of worship, both. But subhanAllah, our very narrow and superficial understanding of worship is the one that created the discrepancy between the two. Why? Because at a certain point in time, and I'm sure until now, in many Muslim societies and communities, the ideal Muslim for us is the one who's always in the masjid and always praying and always making dhikr. We call it that this person is taqi. And this is as close to the ideal and close to the model of the Prophet as it can be. And we feel we revere such a person. Even though that's totally wrong again. That's not what is expected. Allah is not expecting you to withdraw and to be in the masjid all the time, or to be praying, or to maybe making dhikr all the time, or living with the Quran. That's not the job. These are the fuel. That's not the job. These are the fuel that you need to recharge your batteries and fill up your tank, so that you can move, so that you can fulfill that huge mission, which is the mission of change, the mission of reform, that you have to go out and be engaged with forces of evil, because Shaitan has its soldier also. He's hiring and recruiting and organizing and training his people, because there is another agenda. And that's what's going to become clear as we get into the second part of the story of Adam. That this sirah or struggle between the good and the evil started from that moment. And is going to continue forever. And Adam alayhi salam went through the first steps. When he had instruction from Allah, and Shaitan was able to attract him or to lure him to do something against the human being, against the instruction that was given to him by Allah, so that his immune system was basically awakened. It's like the inoculation, the immunization shot. They give the person some of the bacteria or the virus, so that the immune system will react and then will be prepared for it. That was the inoculation of Adam alayhi salam being under those two and being engaged and having a positive role and part of the solution and against the forces of evil, and when I say against, of course, I mean civic engagement, is essential component of our mission. Actually, that's our mission. And some people maybe did not like it when I said I translate Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar by civic engagement. Why? Because there is no way you can do it without civic engagement. وَمَا لَا يَتِمُّ الْوَاجِبُ إِلَّا بِهِ صَارَ وَاجِبًا. There is no way you can make a difference in the society if you're not engaged. So civic engagement is the way to fulfill the mission of Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar. Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, that's your mission. So if you are civically engaged, advocating for a good cause, you are worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are at work and trying, what is it that Allah expects you from at work? Expects you to perfect your work and to do it, to have work ethics and to do it to the best of your ability. If you're doing that with the proper intention, those 8 hours you're worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so on and so forth. The quality time that you spend with your family and with your children, the time that you do workout, all of this is part of Islah and making yourself a better person and making this world a better place, which is the heart of the essence of the mission of Islam. So there is no contradiction, but the contradiction was made because of that narrow, superficial understanding of worship, which reduced it to only what they call direct acts of worship. Direct acts of worship. This person is worship because making qiyam al-layl. This person is worship because sitting in the masjid and making tasbih. This person is worshiping because he's praying sunnah, he's praying, he's fasting, etc. No. So what will resolve the apparent contradiction is the proper understanding of worshiping, to be defined as doing what is expected from you in that context. And if it is charity, then becomes that's the worship. If it's helping someone, if it is teaching someone, if it is learning something for you, if it is working on your body, it's working on your finances, working on this, working on that, to become stronger, to be a better person, so that you can fulfill that mission in a more efficient way. All of this become an act of worship with the proper intention.
Thank you.
Sure. Story of Adam and Iblis. First thing, Iblis, in couple of words, he committed what they call cardinal sins. Cardinal sins means the mother of all sins. One is, of course, rebellion against Allah. To say that Allah tells you to do something and you say, no, I'm not going to do it. Aba wastakbar. So, rebellion against Allah, arrogance, istakbar, ana khayrun min. And if you think about it, as I mentioned, that's the source of a lot of problems. I mean, if you think about all the source of problems in societies, you will find that if you trace them, you will find they come back to rebellion against Allah, meaning Allah told us to do something and we are not doing it. And just look at, for example, at how much damage and harm alcohol and substance abuse is causing in societies. That's something that is forbidden. We're told to steer away from it. And you're doing it, so you pay consequences. All accidents, all family problems, all of this. And then kibr, arrogance. I just mentioned that because basically, just imagine there was no such arrogance. Lot of problems in history: slavery, racism, discrimination, colonialism, Nazism, fascism, you name it. You name it. How much disasters and were committed because of arrogance. And then there is another thing, which is in Surah Al-A'raf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ما منعك أن تسجد ألا تسجد إذ أمرتك. What caused you to disobey something that I told you to do? قال أنا خير منه خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. طيب, what's the problem here? أنا خير منه, that's we talked about it. I'm better than him. So who decides? The creator is telling you to make sujood. Based on what you say, I'm better than him. Yeah. But anyway, I'm better than him. And based on what? Because I was made out of fire, he was made out of clay. One is, that's not a reason that makes you better. Because you can translate it to today's language. I'm better than him. I'm white, he's black. I'm better than him. I'm European, they're African. I'm better than him. You can translate it. I mean, it's there. I'm better than him. I'm Hindu and he's a Muslim. And so it's there. Or I'm Muslim, and same thing. Many Muslims also have this problem, which is that they forgot that they were made special not because of who they are or because of their birthplace or nationality or they claim to be Muslim. It's because of they do. It's because of the contribution that they make. Because Quran was very clear, which is كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف. Before you go far, before you think that you were the chosen people, immediately the explanation came that you were chosen or you are better when you do this. تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. If you are the force of good on earth, if you are advocates of justice, if you are advocates of peace, if wherever you settle you make a difference, الذين مكناهم في الأرض أقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأمروا بالمعروف ونهوا عن المنكر, then you deserve this title. But it's not for you. It's not exclusive. It's for everybody who join and do that. So it is an open field. It's not because if it is nationality or race, it's not open. Only for those who are created like that. But this is not a birthright. This is something that you earn. And then what? And then there is lying or tadlis. Just it's being practiced extensively nowadays, especially with the media, which is تلبسون الحق بالباطل. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in other place with Bani Israel that you mix truth with falsehood. Now what Shaitan said is not wrong. What Shaitan said is not wrong. إذ خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. But there was a tadlis in it. There was what they call a summu fil dasam. There was something injected in that. What is it? That Iblis, it's a half-truth. He removed it, the fact that Allah blew in Adam from his spirit. فَهَذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. Where did that go? Yes, خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. He didn't lie, yani. But he committed worse than lying, which is the half-truth. Because lying, the explicit lying is very easy to find out about it. But it's this implicit. أنا خير منه. I'm better than. Based on what? خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. Yes, Adam was created from clay, but Iblis concealed and withheld a very strong piece of information, which can make all the difference in the world, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blew in Adam from his spirit. فَإِذَا سَوَيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. When the instruction of sujood came after that, because of that, not because of the teen, not because of the clay, not because he was made out of clay. سويته ونفخت فيه من روحي فقعوا له ساجدين. So, if you summarize it, rebellion against Allah and arrogance. من لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. And a person will not enter heaven if he has an atom weight of arrogance. And Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam defined arrogance clearly, kibru, because his companions were worried, say, we want to look good and we want to dress. Said that's not kibr, no. Al-kibru batru al-haqqi wa ghamtu al-nas. Very powerful definition of kibr by Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Al-kibru بطر الحق وغمط الناس. بطر الحق, what Iblis did. Iblis did both of them actually. بطر الحق, it's basically you know the truth and you deny it or you reject it. It's out of arrogance because it's not convenient for you. You don't like it. Someone whom you don't like did something great. You don't want to accept it. You say no, he didn't. It wasn't great. بطر الحق وغمط الناس. Not to give people their due respect or merit or whatever. بطر الحق وغمط الناس. That someone just because you don't like him and you start underestimating and undermining everything he does and belittling it and maybe making fun. Why? Because he just is not among your sect or among your group or among your race or among the people that your friends. So they can, I see this all the time among Muslims, and they can basically Muslims, they can swing from extreme to another. Today they tell you this person, there is nobody is better than him. Yeah. Everything he does is good. Yeah. And subhanallah, next as soon as there is some dispute or problems between them, not only they will tell you that this person has nothing good, but does nothing good. He goes back. They go back. Even the past, he did nothing good. And how come? Who he did? And you were saying he did. What has changed then? Anyway, we see that all the time, subhanallah. Lack of objectivity and integrity and evaluating people, evaluating things. You're going to have to have this tajarrud or selflessness that وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ. Otherwise you will do what Iblis did. This is good, it's good regardless of who did it. This is bad, it's bad regardless of who did it. And I remember when 9/11 happened, immediately I issued the statement that whoever has done this, that's a horrible act, regardless of who did it and regardless under what name they did it. That will not make no difference, because we have to be objective and evaluate the act as is. Not let me first find out who did it and then let me try to tweak it and twist the truth, etc. No, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to justify the act of anybody. Actually, I don't have to justify my own acts. Why do I do that? It's wrong, it's wrong. And that makes me very comfortable and then gives me a lot of peace of mind and tranquility. There are people who think their job, they have to justify what particular person or party or government, whatever they did, and they put themselves in a very embarrassing situation and contradict themselves. Why should I do that? So it's بطر الحق وغمط الناس. It's the kibr, and it's coming from Iblis. So Iblis, rebellion against the instruction of Allah, arrogance, out of arrogance, I'm better than him, and then خلقت أنت إبليس, which is the mixing truth and falsehood, because what he said was not wrong. Yes, he was created from fire, and Adam was created from clay, but the conclusion he built on this was wrong, and before the conclusion, he withheld a very important piece of information that can change everything, which is that Adam was not just made out of clay, but Adam was, Allah blew in him from his spirit. I think somebody wants to ask a question or want to talk. There are questions. We can leave the second part for next time, which is what happened between Adam and Iblis, because that's often the big field and very important aspects of life that we are missing, and they are clear. They were established and stated in that very small, short episode between Adam and Iblis. Go ahead. Someone will talk.
ايوه دكتور سهيل مرحبا.
أهلا.
انا باسل بشناق صديقك.
أهلا وسهلا. أهلا بيك.
كيفك يا حبيبي، شو اخبارك؟
والله الحمد لله.
الحمد لله. يا اخي في عندي سؤال كونتروفيرشال فعلا. هل الشيطان هو من الملائكه ام من الجن؟
من الجن.
طب لما قال الله لما خاطب الملائكه ليسجدوا لادم، خاطبهم طلع الشيطان من بيناتهم وقال لهم انا ما بسجد له. هو كان بين الملائكه يعني كان قاعد.
English please.
What I'm saying is when Allah asked the angels the angels الملائكه اسجدوا لآدم means to Adam. Then Shaitan said, I will not do that. So he was among the angels when Allah talked to the angels, right or no?
Yeah, he was with them.
Yeah, he was with them. So can the Shaitan be among the Malaika? I mean,
no.
It is so confusing, you know. It is
it's not confusing. He was with them, but not one of them. Because the verse in Surah Al-Kahf, verse 50, in Surah Al-Kahf, says, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ كَانَ مِنَ الْجِنِّ فَفَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهِ. So it was explicit mentioning that Iblis was with the Malaika, but it's not one of them. I mean, it happens all the time. You can be like a group of professionals work with in the same job, and someone is with you, but he's not one of you. He doesn't have the same profession. So in Arabic, being with, it doesn't mean being among. Being with people or with a group of people, it doesn't mean that you are one of them.
Yani the view is so confusing that the Shaitan himself was among the Malaika, the angels. He was among the angels.
He was with the angels.
With the angels. So
he was among the jinn. He was
what is the wisdom behind that? What Allah is giving us? What is the message we are getting from Allah by putting Shaitan, because everything is under Allah will, putting Shaitan with the Malaika and to protect his order.
I don't know exactly, but we know from the hadith that Malaika were created from light and Jinn was created from fire. And we share the same world, we live in the same world, and nothing is strange about Shaitan being with angels. Jinn, he wasn't Iblis at that time yet, and he was not like Shaitan in today's understanding. At that time, he was a Jinn. This universe, there are many creations in it. And to have one creation that is Jinn, who is with the Malaika at that time, and both of them, they share something from our perspective. We cannot see them. We cannot see both of them. So I don't think there is anything strange or anything very important about that. We should focus in the Quran about what we can get that can help us in our life. Becoming better people and advancing the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His purpose on earth by making this world more just and more peaceful and more prosperous and etc. So more than a lot of details that the reason Allah did not mention them because He doesn't want us to focus on them.
I'm very sorry. I'm just taking more than my share probably. But one more question, please. Quick question. معي أخ سهيل؟
Yes.
كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. That's very clear that Allah is talking to a Muslims ummah, not to Arabs, right?
No, not even to Muslims in general, It was qualified, of course, definitely not to Arabs.
Who are they? خير أمة أخرجت للناس.
It was qualified by the explanation. تأمرون بالمعروف
وتنهون عن المنكر
وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. First of all, أخرجت للناس, meaning that you were sent to serve, مش to dominate. يعني أخرجت للناس.
My question, Sheikh Suhail, my question is, many Arabs think that the Islam will not come back as we wanted to unless the Arabs are involved in it, because the Arabs are the Arabs.
There are no basis for this, and that's totally wrong. And the Arabs who think this way, they commit the mistake that was committed by Bani Israel, which is when they thought, and Quran condemned this big time, and repeatedly, it's when people start thinking that they are the chosen people, because of regardless of what we do on earth, ونحن قالت يهود ونصارى نحن أبناء الله وأحباؤه. يعني this is what some Arabs are committing. It's the same mistake, that because I'm Arab or even because I'm Muslim. يعني. Now if you are Muslim and you're causing more harm than good, you're not among the best community. يعني. The best community, it has the qualification. First of all, أخرجت للناس. يعني they were sent, and whoever understands Arabic deeply understand that there is a meaning of serving. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. يعني your job is to serve, to guide, to model the way, because our role among the humanity should be the same as the role of the Prophet ﷺ amongst us. And the role of the Prophet amongst us was most importantly, was a role model. So you want to be among that best community, you should try to be a role model. And as a community, we should be a model community. And then the Prophet was sent as a blessing to humanity. Mercy. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, for all the world. يعني. You want to be part of that best community, you should be a mercy and a blessing to people around you. In your neighborhood, in your workplace, in your family, wherever you go, you are a blessing. It's a rahmah. يعني. That's the meaning. That you do that, you become one of the or member of that best community. But that best community is not definitely Arabs, and it's not even saying that I'm Muslim. That is not enough qualification to make you, because we know there are many Muslims, lay Muslims or powerful or politicians or business people or whatever. There are many Muslims who are doing more harm than good. Yeah. So that's not because you are a Muslim or you were born in a Muslim country or a Muslim family that automatically you become member of the best community, because that would be the mistake that was committed by Bani Israel, which is to feel that we are the chosen people. So it's not for the Arabs directly, and it's not even for Muslims like this, open door. No, it is for people who are making positive contribution, serving humanity, having positive impact, and making a difference or advancing the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they do that, they become members of that best community.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
ممكن نشارك شيخ؟
أهلا وسهلا.
بارك الله فيكم. So in the same topic when I was talking about the kibr, and actually so the last point that you mentioned is أخرجت للناس, الإخراج للناس. It's as الشهادة. So that shahada is like to be a role model for people, or shahada to be witness to the people. This really confusing to me. So the shahada that's mentioned in لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول.
Actually, both. Are you done?
I'm here.
Okay. Actually, both. لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا has both meaning. the Prophet ﷺ was a role model and was a witness. ألا هل بلغت اللهم فاشهد. Your job, my job, our job is to do the same thing. Is to be the best ambassadors of Islam and embody Islam in our daily behavior. Be a role model for people because we are representing faith, we're representing community, we're not representing ourselves, and we have to feel that responsibility. And then, of course, to do the second part, which is to deliver the message so that you become a witness. You deliver the message. When you deliver the message, we're not judges on earth. We are witnesses. And you know the difference between the two? The witness, you say what you know, the judge makes the decision. When it comes to da'wah, it's the same thing. You convey the message in the best possible way, of course, after conveying it by example. Because if you convey the message and it's not backed up by example, it's useless, worthless. So you convey the message in the best possible way by example first, and when you get the opportunity, bil hikmah wal maw'izah hasana, you don't lecture people, you don't talk to people they don't know you, you don't overdo it, you don't talk to people in the wrong context, the wrong timing, etc. You don't have to choose the time, the dose, the proper approach, etc. Hikmah wal maw'izah hasana, so that you can discharge your duty. And you did it both ways. You did it one, you showed Islam, and therefore you were not fitna, or you cause people to be misled because of your behavior, and that's happening nowadays. Many people have very negative image of Islam because of the behavior of some Muslims. That shouldn't do that. Represent Islam in the best possible way with your behavior, and then when you get the chance, when you get the opportunity, try to convey the message for the people actually before you know it. If you develop good relationship with people, opportunity will come to present your faith. And that's where many people fail. Many people fail in the first test, which is to represent Islam in the best possible way. And then second test, which is to have strong relationship with people. Because without relationship, without outreach, there can be no da'wah. And third, fail to deliver Islam in the best possible way when they put the details first, or they confuse things, and then because you have only you don't have a second chance to make first impression. If you have a chance, if someone, a friend of yours, tell me about Islam, that's your opportunity. If you missed it, it's very hard to fix it later on. So you should be ready to be able to give the most important thing about Islam in a nutshell, and to be brief, and then to allow things to happen naturally and spontaneously, and not to force or be pushy or impose yourself on people. So Shuhada ala nas involves both role model and witness, and that's our role as individuals and as a community, to be role models and to lead by example, lead and guide by example, and lead people to what is best for them. وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ. Very general. Da'wah is to everything that is good. It's not only da'wah that is religious. It's in the same way we made worship very narrow, we made also da'wah very narrow. Anything that you tell people that can help them in this life or in the hereafter is a form of da'wah. Da'wah ila al-khayr. وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ. Some people say khayr means Islam. Like, why you're making it narrow? Khayr means anything. If you tell someone an advice that can help them become better spouse or better parents, or better they improve their business, or they improve their health, or they improve, that's a form of da'wah, because that's da'wah al-khayr. If you promote something, public education, if you tell people about the problem that pollution causes, or smoking, or whatever, that's da'wah al-khayr. We took very general, beautiful concepts and we made them very narrow, that unless you're telling people about Allah and the Prophet or Islam, you're not making da'wah. No, da'wah ila khair. So Muslim is supposed to work in this life to be all you can be through tazkiyah and to maximize your positive impact on others and on the society through islah or amal ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar or civic engagement.
Can I get more questions?
Okay.
If there is any question.
Go ahead.
I can help? Okay. So in this context, exactly, so I'm talking about this context because sometimes I want to think loudly with you and with the brothers and sisters about this point exactly. So أن الأرض يرثها عبادي الصالحون. This صلاح exactly so ما فهمته من كلامك the thing I understand from your speech that so it could be not Muslim but he do islah in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him the chance to be a role model or to be also وأن الأرض يرثها عبادي الصالحون ورثت الأرض the heritage of the earth. So this point sometimes it's confused me and always I'm thinking about that. So it has to be a Muslim and sometimes I'm thinking above of that they said what's the Islam exactly? So إن الدين عند الله الإسلام ومن يبتغي غير الإسلام دينا فلا يقبل منه وهو في الآخرة من الخاسرين. This some points is like I want to clarify exactly what's the meaning here.
I mean, the key to understand this is to distinguish between this life and the hereafter. In the hereafter, your faith, your intention matters. In this life, your action only. For example, if a country or a society that have no faith, atheists, and in that society there is transparency, there is accountability, there is equal opportunity, there is fair competition, there is justice, that society will prosper, regardless. And we see it nowadays, for example. Japan is a country without religion, without faith. And there is practically no religion. And it's very successful in many levels. So you can see it across the board. Different countries with very different religion and they're successful. And then on the other hand, if you are a Muslim and you think you are a good Muslim because you are praying all the time and you are reciting Quran and fasting a lot and doing dhikr, but in that society there is injustice, zulm, there is no transparency, no accountability, no equal opportunity, nothing, right? Lot of corruption, dictatorship, oppression. That society is going to fail, even if the mosques are full. So, and make no mistake about it. That's the mistake that we had at certain point in time when we thought the problem in Muslim society is that people went away from deen. So if you bring them back to the masjid, to the mosque, and to the hijab, and to the etc., things will work. So people were brought to the masjid, and they're back to what we call deen. So we managed to sell that deen to a very large segment of Muslims, but nothing has changed. Why? Because it's a deficient version. No, we didn't sell them the real deen. We sold them very superficial layer of deen that was added on top of all the damage. So it's the same person who was abusing their spouse yesterday and who was not working, they don't have work ethics, who don't keep their promises, who find it easy to lie, and all these problems. But this person used to drink yesterday, now is not drinking, and was not praying yesterday, now is praying. So we added, it's like a wound, jarah, that we closed without cleaning. We didn't clean. So we added, nowadays you can see, if you go to Egypt, you go to any Muslim countries, mosques are full. The appearances of Islam in terms of hijab and everywhere. But if you compare it to the 60s and 70s when these scenes were not there, nothing has changed in the society except to the worst. And that's not to blame Islam. Islam has nothing to do with this. It's our understanding of Islam and promotion of Islam. We promoted the wrong version because we did not change the personality. We did not change the mindset. We did not give this person a mission, a life mission, a sense of purpose. But we told them that there is 4 or 5 things that you need to do if you are not doing them. And there are 2 or 3 things that you need to stop if you're doing them. And then you are a good Muslim. So, I mean, if you were committing adultery, stop it. If you were drinking, you need to stop. And this is basically what we tell people. Lying is okay. Then usually it's these things. And then prayer, if you are capable, go and make Hajj, pay zakat. Ramadan, most people fasting even as part of habit. And then you have become a good Muslim. If you add on top of this jilbab and beard and etc., then خلاص يعني في الفردوس. We messed it up. We did not focus on the sense of mission in Islam, the spiritual component, the character component, the social component, what you call the حس الجمالي الذوق. يعني in Islam was completely ignored. So we stripped Islam from its essential component, and the only thing that is left is the rituals, sha'air, and some fiqh of halal and haram.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Sayyid. What we will talk about next week?
We're going to continue with the story of Adam in Baqarah and in other surah. Focusing on the second part, what happened between Adam and Iblis, and what is the meaning for us, why this surah was important, this story was important, and what happened, and what does it mean for us in this life.
دكتور سهيل ابو عبد الله ممكن نمدد بس دقيقتين. بس دقيقتين. انا دكتور سهيل ما تاخذني، انا اختلف معك قليلا.
In English, please, English.
I will try my best. I do defer with you, Dr. Suhail, just a little bit, في تفسير الآية والسؤال ورد السؤال على الأخي باسل بشناق. عندما قال الله تعالى بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ قلنا الملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس أبى واستكبر وكان من الكافرين. كان الله يخاطب God was talking to the ملائكة لكي يسجدوا إلا فسجدوا إلا إبليس. The issue is, since I was a child and with all my reading and understanding, is that Iblis, Shaitan, was an angel, and he was one of the noble angels. Based on many the fuqaha from the past, Ibn Abbas, Ibn Mas'ud, they were calling their understanding is that Iblis was من أشراف الملائكة أيضا. كان الملائكة وكان من الأجنحة الأربعة based on my understanding. ثم أبلس بعد. وهذا ما معناه أن الله لعنه بعد أن كان ملاك and he defied God's order. Then God لعنه and made him shaitan, made him jinn. And that's my understanding.
And I don't insist on any particular version. I always say that we need to focus the part that makes a difference for us, because now this will continue until the day of judgment. Of people think that Iblis was from jinn and he was just happened to be with the malaik, and between people who think that also evidence that he was from the malaik or from the dust angel. But if you think about it, Brother Fahmy, what difference this make for us? Nothing. I mean, both versions will not, if we adopt one or the other, or we say that both of them will not make a difference, and we should really focus on what Quran is leading us to focus on, because Quran does not ignore things except for a reason. In many of the stories of the prophets, there are some names that were not mentioned. We were not told about the people's names. We were not told their ages, who is older, who is younger, because most of the time it does not affect the story or the merit of the story, and maybe also possibly God does not want us to be lost in the details and then miss the main point. So that's why in many of the stories of the prophets, actually some stories, the whole story in some surah will be covered in 3 or 4 lines. Why? Because Allah wants us in that context to get this concept or this so I'm not insisting. I mean, I'm okay with the version, but I really want us to focus on the implications of the verses in our life, and not to try to, especially if there is something about which there are more than one version since the Prophet. We don't expect, we expect to remain until the day of judgment that and we're okay, and that's okay.
شكرا دكتور سيد، جزاك الله خير.
جزاك الله خير دكتور سيد، ان شاء الله نسيو next time.
بارك الله فيكم. جزاكم الله خير، بارك الله فيكم. السلام عليكم.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم. دكتور سهيل ممكن نكلمك على الخاص؟
تفضل.
اوكي. فقط بالنسبه للبرنامج الذي كان في العيد،